Hi, my name is Mark Otani from Swalanyeti, and today we have the pleasure of hosting or being hosted by Watu and Erick. I think, Erick, you can tell our viewers more about yourself and what you do at Watu.
Thank you very much, and karibu. My name is Erick Massawe. I am the country manager for Watu Credit in Kenya.
You're fine?
I'm very good.
You are sitting at a very good position in terms of this year you celebrate 10 years since Watu started. And as you know, the history of many what we call startups, they don't make it past even 3 or 5 years. You've made it to 10.
Yeah.
What are the key lessons you've learned from those 10 years? Challenges and probably milestones that you've had during those 10 years.
Yeah. Thank you very much. That's a good question. And I think at this point, we are no longer a startup. We are on a scale-up phase. And as you rightly said, it is a big milestone for the business, not only to survive, but to grow over these past 10 years, the way we've been able to grow. So reflecting back on 10 years, I think the biggest challenge, which brought a lot of lessons to us, has to do with our product category that we started with. So for the first 7 years, we were focusing on mobility products. So we were financing motorcycles, 2-wheelers, 3-wheelers, and at some point we were financing vehicles as well. And with motorcycles, the biggest challenge was security, where by being a market leader, we represented majority of the financed assets in the market, and by virtue of having higher risk on security, where there was rampant motorcycle theft, sometimes this will even involve fatality of the riders, we were on the spotlight. And it is fair for us to be on the spotlight because by distribution, we were having the majority of those bikes on the roads. And what we had done before, we had created an internal infrastructure, but it was not enough. And the key lesson that came with that was not only that you have to develop an internal infrastructure, which I'll walk you through about, but security is such a comprehensive security needs a very comprehensive solution. And that really propelled us not only to be able to solve this challenge, but also to develop what is a key competitive advantage. So internally, what we've done about that, we created an asset risk department, which is comprised of field agents who will be able to respond to theft incidences, trying to locate these assets, working with authorities, and really make the follow-up. We have created an emergency line. This is like 24-hour service that runs where if a rider or a customer have an issue or they have a bike that is missing, they can actually report, and we will do a very rapid response by looking on our GPS tracking system and see, okay, can we locate this asset? What was the last in position? And then work very closely with our asset risk department out in the field, who would then go and report this incident to the police, and at the same time work with our field marketing team, which will now coordinate with the network of other border stages and leaders and security councils across the geography. And by doing it in such a comprehensive way, we received a very remarkable result, because as of now, out of all theft cases that are reported through emergency line, 55% we are recovering those bikes. Yeah, and the 45% that we can't recover, then we process through insurance. But to arrive there, it was such a journey, and this was really fueled by this challenge, because particularly in areas where we are bordering with neighboring countries, we at some point we're experiencing like a very high rate of theft cases, because people target anybody who is riding a motorcycle and go and sell that motorcycle across the border, on the southern side selling them to Tanzania, or on the western side selling them to Uganda. Yeah.
Do you believe that has made you a better company, or made you even tailor your products to become better over that period?
Not only made us a better company, it made us a very unique company because we are the only company that has such infrastructure and such solution. And I can confidently say in Kenya, at minimum, nobody can say what we say when it comes to security and our solution, and as well as our recovery rates. Yeah.
And talking of asset finance, it's a market that has major players, including banks and players like yourself. What do you believe gives you an upper hand over other players, and including financial institutions, the major players?
So one thing that is very special about WATU is the fact that WATU has remained committed to its mission from day one. Our mission has never changed, which is a bit odd compared to so many other startups. And our mission is to empower entrepreneurs. And under our mission, you can think about two things. One is our approach. Our approach is customers first, assets next. Yeah, come with a dream, walk away with a business. That model really speaks about valuing our customers' ambitions, our customers' needs, and providing them with a working tool or an income-generating asset so that they can actually be empowered. And that has been part and parcel of what is happening at WATU through and through. And because of that, you'll see that even our approach is more customer friendly other than asset based kind of approaches, which is where you'll see with banks and even our competitors. When they finance an asset, they will come after the asset. They will think of an asset first and not think of the customer. So we actually have a reverse approach. Customer first, asset next. And that allows us to create such a very enabling environment and a very friendly arrangements, as well as providing a really good customer service. And that is something that our customers have confessed and attested in different platforms, and we're extremely proud of that. Yeah, so that is one. Number two is our business model. So what we are doing, we are, again, and this is something really coming from our mission to empower entrepreneurs. So what we are doing is we are basically focusing only on asset financing, unlike other businesses or other competitors who sometimes they've integrated their businesses vertically such that they play a part on the value chain other than financing. We only play the part on the financing bit. And by this, we are working with dealerships, and we are very proud to empower more than 2,000 dealerships through the business that we are doing across the country. And most important, we are brand agnostic because of that. So we don't force customers to pick a certain brand or a certain, type of product because that is where we make profit. No, because that is for the dealers. And by doing so, we are creating a level field for the dealership to compete, which ultimately gives our customers options, gives us our customers price advantage. And in that environment, if you give your customers option to pick what they want, you create a very good ground for dealership to compete. Usually price would be reduced. That is another factor that gives us an upper hand. Yeah.
And even as you talk about what gives you an upper hand, there's normally the talk around, and especially among digital lenders, the talk about interest rates and hidden charges. Probably how transparent are you when you're dealing with your customers and now the kind of assets they want to acquire?
We do have very transparent terms and conditions, and not only during the time where we onboard a customer, but throughout their customer journey with us, because they can always access information about their loan status, terms and conditions, through the contract at the beginning, but ongoing. You have multiple platforms, they can call us, they can check it via the app, they can do a USSD code and get that information. And for that reason, we are the only company that has been certified with a gold certification on customer protection principles in Kenya. So that speaks volume to our level of transparency and really, being a responsible lender.
From humble beginnings in Mombasa 10 years ago to where you are now, and recently you've been making inroads in other countries. What is advising which country you choose, and now which countries have you expanded to, and which ones do you think of moving to next?
Yeah. So Watu is a very unique story of a business from Kenya to the world. And I believe this is like the first one in that context. And as you rightly said, we started in Mombasa and then we expanded across the country. Then we went into neighboring countries across East Africa. And in Africa, we are operational in 8 African countries. The whole of East Africa, West Africa, and South Africa. And as we speak now, we've even gone beyond African continent. We just launched Mexico, and we have 3 other countries that we are launching in Latin America. And in terms of what informs that expansion, it is a combination of so many factors, and we normally put a scorecard so that we say, okay, which country becomes a priority. But generally, we'll be looking at population and demographic factors such as the size of the population, which informs the size of the market, income and other demographical measurements. We're looking at technology because our business is powered by technology. So, for example, using the IoT, we can enable mobile payments or online payments. For example, in areas where you don't have mobile payment or mobile money penetration. These are markets like Nigeria or South Africa. And we're also looking for really favorable and friendly regulatory environments where we can go, and we are pro-regulations, and we would want to set a standard and be, in compliance and set an example as a market leader, in terms of regulations. And sometimes you also look at competition and see what competition is doing and where do we see, interest to go after them or, go before they go. Yeah.
And talking of regulations, what do you feel about recent regulations touching on your sector, and probably what role did you play in formulating those ones?
So from a regulations perspective, to give an example of what I just said, to demonstrate that we are pro-regulations, we actually went above and beyond last year and applied for DCP license. So now we are licensed as DCP, and what that means, it means more opportunities for us to do business. So we can actually roll out products that we couldn't before, simply because we are not DCP. And with the regulation changes that happened in December, the business laws amendments, we are very, very happy for what the Parliament and His Excellency, the President, did, because finally in Kenya, we have a category within the regulatory landscape that recognizes the type of business models that we have. And this is really important because not only it will give us a very clear guidance in terms of regulatory framework on how we do what we do, it will also benefit our customers because now they will have a very clear understanding of, okay, even if they have issues, where do they go and how do they go about it beyond coming to us or beyond going to our colleagues in terms of other players. Yeah.
And 10 years later, we can't talk about growth in terms of expansion without talking about revenue growth as well. We can't expand without revenue. Can you tell us a bit more about how your revenue has changed over the years in terms of numbers in the last 10 years to where you are now?
So I will not be very specific to numbers because that is proprietary information. But I will talk about the growth journey. So in terms of our growth journey, you can look at it from 2 very important time frames. From the first year to the 7th year, we were 100% a single product category business, and the category we were financing was mobility assets, and we were basically focusing on motorcycles, so both 2-wheelers and 3-wheelers. Yeah. And at this point, it was mostly ICE bikes in Kenya, and we had started to do other pilots in different markets like Rwanda by doing EV financing. Yeah. And in the middle of this period, we introduced vehicles financing, Watu, but it didn't go very well. So we shifted our focus 100% into the mobility. And a spike that really defined our growth came with COVID. Yeah, during COVID period, if you remember, there was curfew, and only essential services were allowed. So as a result, a lot of people lost their jobs. But out of this, limitations came an opportunity, because some of these essential services would be delivered by motorcycles. So this is the period where we saw a massive growth in the tune of 15,000 assets a month. Yeah, and this lasted throughout the COVID period, and we are extremely proud because we were there during the time of need. You can think about it. A lot of people lost their job, then this opportunity arises, and we are there to provide financing, allowing people to actually continue to work, continue to make money while the situation was quite unfavorable.
You call that your turning point?
I wouldn't call it a turning point, because we had a very steady growth even prior, but this is like a spike. This is where we saw like a massive growth, consistently. And then another time frame which is very important is now from 8 years to today. So this is like from Q3 of 2022, where we introduced a second product category, and this is connected devices or connectivity products. And with this, we rolled out Watu Simu. And with Watu Simu, we are financing both smartphones and tablets. And since Q3 of 2022 to date, we have given loans to over almost 2 million devices. Yeah, and even as we are looking at it from a Kenyan perspective, in the context of other competitors, because we are not the first one in this space, we are a very strong challenger, I would say, because we have market leaders. But if you look at the growth rate in terms of how many customers we are providing loans for every month, throughout 2025 we are leading in terms of new customer acquisition, which tells you it's a question of time we're going to lead this space as well.
Okay. Yeah. And the world is moving towards what we are calling green, the greens. What in terms of the numbers in asset financing, and you do a lot of bikes, what part does EV bikes play in the absorption, and especially on the asset financing side?
So we are very passionate and very committed into green mobility, and we want to revolutionize that in all the markets that we are operating. So Watu has played a very vital role into basically what we see as an EV revolution which is happening. So for example, in 2023-2024, we acquired stakes in electric vehicles manufacturer called WATU At, and we worked with them to develop a brand called Gogo. We piloted it in Uganda, and it is doing very well. And this bike is probably one of the best bikes out there, because this is the only electric bike that has got traditional gearbox, and that allows for not only controlling the range but also controlling the speed depending on the terrain. So it is actually the most practical bike you can ever have, because it is built on a frame of a bike that has already been used in the markets and being tested over and over. Yeah. And what was remarkable was the fact that last year we were able to sell half of what was done in Kenya in terms of electric bikes in the market. So in total, there was around 2,000 thereabout electric bikes sold in Kenya, and in Uganda alone we did 1,000 ourselves. And in Kenya we are seeing something that is very special as well, because as we go now, this is like a third year really since we started to push for electric bikes adoption, and this year specifically has been very special for us, because we are on track to do 6 times the volume of electric bikes compared to what we did last year. Yeah.
Oh, impressive. And right now you can't talk about business and especially strategy going into the future without talking about artificial intelligence. To what extent is artificial intelligence affecting your business now and your strategy going into the future, especially now that you're looking at the next decade for your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are, first of all, we are a technology company. So we love, we impress, and we want to take, like a very front row when it comes to embracing new technologies. We are actually in the middle of integrating our customer care processes and channels with AI, because that would mean we will be much more responsive. We will be much more, we'll be able to provide much more customized solutions. And that would mean integrating, AI solutions into our processes. And this is very, very important part of our business, because we know a very good, very customized, and complete solution to address customer issues is another competitive advantage. There's always a question of, okay, you've acquired this customer, but how is that journey? Did you delight them during that journey? And that delight will only come if you provide excellent, top-notch customer service. And we strongly believe that cannot happen if you don't integrate with, technologies, including AI. And this is why, for example, right now we are in the process of, doing that.
And talking about tailoring solutions using technology, what do the trends look like in terms of which kind of assets do you find yourself financing most, and where do you see the trends going towards?
So at the moment, we control that trend. And I use the word control because this was a deliberate strategic choice that we've made 2 years ago, that we're now focusing more on the mobility, the connectivity products. So smartphones, tablets, and we are transitioning mobility products from ICE to electric. And we know that transition will take longer and it will be slower. For obvious factors. For example, the model that would work at a commercial scale in our perspective is the swap model. That requires a massive investment and development of charging infrastructure, for example, and it's not going to happen overnight. So while that is happening, we will be as proactive to be the main drivers, which we are already, but while that is happening, there's an opportunity to also scale up our connectivity products, and that is actually working. And I just shared the numbers. In less than 3 years, almost 2 million devices. So we'll continue to see that for the next few years, and definitely time will come where we'll see also the market is ready, the infrastructure is ready, and this is where you'll see also a lot of aggressive efforts into the mobility products. Yeah.
And in the recent months, I'm sure probably when you check your bottom line, to some extent it has been affected by the macro environment. But people are a bit optimistic going into the next few months. How do you see those few months panning out for you, number one? And what probably would you like to see change in the macro environment to make the business environment better for you in terms of absorption by now your customers? Because when the macros are affected, even their spending is affected and the repayment is also affected.
Yeah. And I would want to start by saying, particularly the lowest point was February, call it Q1, Q2 of 2022, when Russia invaded Ukraine. And that sparked a global, economic crisis, and everything from macro perspective deteriorated, speaking about Forex, speaking about fuel prices, and the, knock-on effect is, inflation rates, cost of living going high, and that impacted us. Yeah, we cannot say that did not impact us, because we saw, for example, less activities on our mobility products, because we can actually tell how much activities they do in terms of, their daily works. And when there's a reduction in activities, definitely there's a reduction in income. And it took almost, 18 months to see strong signs of recovery. And that is where we are right now. Yeah.
Are you optimistic about?
Yes, I'm very, very optimistic. And, even the government in Kenya is doing very well to try to control where they can control some of these, variables. For example, you will see there's been a bit of stability on fuel prices this year compared to last year.
And finally, we normally talk about Kenyans or Kenya being unique or Kenyans being peculiar in their habits. Probably in the last 10 years, what have you noted about Kenyan consumers compared to maybe the other countries you operate in? What stands out about the Kenyan market?
Yeah, our customer persona in Kenya is definitely unique in so many aspects. One, it's a very, very vibrant country, I would say. But specific to our customers, you're looking at customer who is very entrepreneurial. You're looking at a customer who is tech savvy. You're looking at a customer who is also very well informed. Yeah, and you may find these traits in other markets, but not as strong as you would see them in Kenya. Yeah, and majority of our customers are also very young. Yeah, it's a young generation, millennials and Gen Zs mostly. And if you understand that persona very well, it actually informs your decision as a business. And I think this is one thing that Watu is very unique at, because we look at our customer and we inform everything else from that perspective. So for example, one thing that we've done very successful by really understanding our customer is to realize that they're very entrepreneurial, they have big ambitions and big dreams, and we've allowed our customers to basically build businesses. For example, we have a customer who has a fleet of 70 tuk-tuks. Yeah, she was a pharmacist. She basically came to us seeing an opportunity to buy one tuk-tuk, rent it to others. 5 years later, this is a 70 fleet of tuk-tuks, right? So that allows us to grow as a business, but allows our customers to grow with us, right? And that relationship means a lot for our business today and in the future, because what we project in the future is now a big community of these types of customers who could look back and say, wow, I was unbankable and I came along with Watu to the point now I'm running this business, or I'm running, this group of, companies or businesses. That is the kind of an ambition that we have, because we truly, truly believe that if you empower them, if you enable them, you give them access, then they will grow. And by virtue of them growing, we realize our mission, which is to empower entrepreneurs and, contribute positively to the markets that we operate. So it's a very exciting market from that perspective.
Maybe as a parting shot, what do you feel working at Watu? What, at a personal level, what has it done for you? How do you feel Watu has changed you as a person?
Yeah, I think Watu has really helped me to rethink my work and appreciate, what is the most important part of my work, which is the impact that I do, because what we are doing is business, yes, but it is beyond a business. It's like a movement, right? So every time I travel and meet our customers and get to hear their stories, get to hear their pain points even, and understanding what I do from a perspective of what it does to the customer, it really brings this picture of, I'm doing a very good big contribution to something that is so important to millions of people. And this is beyond career objective, because you may have your career objective and say, okay, from 3 years, 5 years, this is where I want to go. But for me, I feel like I'm creating a legacy which I'll be so proud to share. And I feel very fortunate to be part of this movement, because looking back, all I see is millions of people that say thanks to God every day because of what I do, and that is bigger than having a job.
Okay. That is a strong parting shot. What we can do is probably wish you well in your next phase, the next 10 years, because like everyone else, we like to see a company grow and become even bigger.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much
It's a pleasure. Yeah.